Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a very special segment here on Footy First. Nick McVicar, alongside the CEO and General Manager of York United, Angus McNab. Angus, how's it going today?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Delighted to join you.
I know it's been too long. I've wanted to talk to you for years now, and now I get an opportunity here ahead of a big match for you guys, but also during a very important time for York United. And obviously, recently, the club was sold back to the league, sold back to Canadian Soccer Business. I want to start there. And the question that I have to start this off, how did this sale kind of come about? How long has this kind of process been in the works? And what can you kind of tell me about how we got to this point?
Yeah, ultimately, there's been discussions for a while now with the Baldassare family and the CPL board, ultimately CSB, as well as the sort of shareholding factor within that. And it was just about the long-term viability of the club. And the Baldassare family have done an immense amount of work in establishing a professional club here. And it's about what's going to take this to the next level. Obviously, it's not a core business activity for them. They are one of the most successful, quite frankly, most successful immigration stories in Canadian history. When you look at what Carlo's achieved over the course of his sort of 50 years, 60 years in Canada. And they're very proud of what they've established here with the football club, but it's not their core business. They build things, they move dirt. So it's about bringing in someone now with CSB and Commissioner Noonan's help that is going to be able to sort of take this to the next level and move things on and really deliver on the promise that this club has always had as the founding member in the GTA.
Absolutely. And give full credit to the Baldassaros family. They've done a great job getting this club off the ground, obviously. When we're looking towards new ownership now, obviously the league and CSB is going to try to find new owners rather quickly. What kind of timeline have you heard from the ownership group of CSB that they're looking at to try to bring in new owners? Is it kind of this month? Is it by the transfer window, or is it sort of like an end of year target for them?
I think there's no hard and fast deadline. And I think that's a really good thing because that's about the right owners coming in. And the right people to take this on that have a plan that fits in so many different areas. So there is a process that's underway with a number of interested parties already. And that includes the various stages of vetting, them coming out and visiting games and things like that have continued with a number of interested groups. And since this went public, more groups even knocking on the door as well, myself personally, and then obviously passing it along to Commissioner Noonan and the CSB board. And I can't really, having been part of that board of governors the last couple of years since I've come in, speak about the strength of that group and the clarity of vision is incredibly important because it means that we enter this knowing what we have to do to make sure and that we deliver the right group. It's not about a fixed timeline. It's not about a cut-off date or this, that, the other. It's about, right, let's get the right people in to help build this as partners around the table. And really, as I sort of said, make sure that this club really takes flight. It's had a couple of false starts. Year one wasn't perfect by any stretch. I came in just at the start of year two. The world changed very quickly one day in March. And to be honest, we've not quite found the right footing since then. The rebrand and things there have been an amazing step in the right direction. We've seen that in the merchandise we've moved. We've seen that in things that we are doing as a club and developing community. The launch of the academy has seen the academy and parents add a significant number of season seat memberships, and that will continue to grow as well. But it's about the long-term plan, and there are so many factors that go into that. And I think it's the way of football, it's the way of the world right now that people have one comment immediately one way, one comment immediately the other. The reality is there are a lot of factors. It's not binary, it's not simple. And I think the board understand that, and that's why they're happy to sort of allow time and a process to take place that will ultimately deliver the right people to take this on in the future.
I love that answer. In conversation with Angus McNab, CEO and GM of York United, and you talk about the long term and CSB looking for that long term solution. Is this something that they're prepared to wait long term to try to get before the official proposal and purchase goes through, or is this something that they're hoping to maybe get the right team in really quickly?
The right team, the right offer could come tomorrow. I genuinely, that might be the case, but the quality of people and prospective owners that are knocking on the door, taking part fully in the process already, it probably isn't going to be tomorrow before kickoff.
Of course.
But it could be very near term. It might take a little bit longer in terms of I personally don't hold the keys to that. But all I can say is the level of engagement with Commissioner Noonan, with Scott Mitchell as sort of chairman of the board, and others that sit on the board has been absolutely incredible. And you look at the staffing and the additions in the Commissioner's office, someone like Marnie Dicker, who's just joined as VP of Legal and Infrastructure. There are some really key additions that actually help us round this out, all of the process that this encapsulates. It's putting the best foot forward, both for the league, but for the next people coming in, because look, there are some things we need to tackle. York University and York Lions Stadium has been a great home to us initially for us as a club, but we have to look at a longer term solution for us that helps us out, that potentially moves us from being a cost line item to something that could be revenue generating for the club. Our players themselves have a little bit of a nomadic existence, moving between Ontario Soccer Centre and YLS on game day. So there are some things that we need to look at and look at the longer term solution there that Marnie can certainly help with on the infrastructure side. And it's obviously been well publicised that I've had great discussions and a great relationship with Jim Lawson and the folks at Woodbine on Stadium, and that is a prospective site. And they've been very public about their support for a soccer specific stadium and training facilities there on as part of Woodbine's new development. So there are so many positive aspects of this, but it's not a very simple one size fits all buying something off the rack situation, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And yeah, we just continue to work on that. And I'm very, very fortunate that everyone sees the output of the playing staff and the coaching staff on the field every week. But we have a small but incredibly dedicated team in the front office at York that is continuing to work business as usual and really try and get on and move this along. And they do it with some obstacles and some challenges the last couple of years, but they really care. They work really hard. And it's the people and the spirit within the club that will see us continue to put our best foot forward and make that the best possible process and transition into new ownership.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I wanted to take from what you said earlier is you kept mentioning the right ownership group and what the right owners, who the right owners are. In your opinion and the club's opinion as a whole, what does the right ownership look like? Not necessarily a specific person, but what are you guys looking for to take over as the right ownership?
I think that, look, as mentioned before, this wasn't the Bordazara family's core business. It was something that they were very passionate about and very happy to start. But this is going to require capital for infrastructure and for other aspects that we have to get right. For marketing, for other things. So people who understand the core business activities and the realities of where we are, not just ourselves at York, but as a league as a whole, developing what is like a greenfield football site in a fantastic country and a fantastic opportunity, but it's going to take resource to do that. So having owners that understand that, and having owners that, you know what, they can maybe buy into the vision and see a little bit what's happened on the other side of the wall with MLS in the last 25, 30 years, and really buy into this vision and say, why not? Why can't we shoot for the stars? And look, the population of Canada, the size of cities, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get to MLS level valuations. But there's nothing wrong with us sort of still raising the bar. And raising the bar is looking at the infrastructure across the country. Very, very frankly, we've got a World Cup coming in 2026. I look at some of the cities in the US that missed on hosting a World Cup. They're in a far more advanced situation than either of the host cities in Canada right now in their ability to not necessarily just the stadia to play in, but in world-class venues for international teams to come and train in. TFC, the Vancouver Whitecaps, their ownership have made investments in training ground, in stadia, in all of these other aspects. But there's going to be potentially 4 teams that need venues, need training space and wherever else. Where is that within the GTA right now? Where is that within like the Greater Vancouver area as well? It doesn't exist. So we really all need to, across the country, look and come together and continue to raise the bar and raise standards, because it needs it. If South Canada is going to live up to its potential and be a soccer power, the CPL is going to have a big role in that, in the development and opportunities for players. But we're going to need support. We're going to need to roll the sleeves up and really seriously invest in the infrastructure for the sport across the country, if it is going to improve and get better.
Absolutely agree with you there, Angus. In conversation with Angus McNab, CEO and GM of York United. And Angus, I want to ask a question that I know many fans have been pondering since the team was sold back to the league. And it's, what is the difference between this situation now and what just happened with FC Edmonton? Lots of concerned fans, obviously, after what happened in Edmonton. Can you maybe quell their emotions, give them something to stay positive about in the differences?
Yeah, I think when you look at it in terms of, while the announcement was timed sort of a week into the season or whatever else, these discussions take a little bit longer. The roster build was completely sort of done without league interference. We were able to do that, work on ourselves, and the squad and the plan is fully baked. We're in a very, very different position from the Edmonton situation. It's been a managed process, and I think this wasn't a situation where the Baldassarre family didn't have the means to continue or anything along those lines. This is a situation where it's about finding the best possible jump-off point. And I think we're further along the line for conditions for success of a franchise. When we speak about Woodbine, when we speak about other opportunities, even our current infrastructure at YLS versus what was there at Clark Stadium, we have far greater conditions and less barriers to success and franchise health than they faced in Edmonton. Edmonton is still a fantastic market for soccer, and everything, again, very privileged and proud to have sat with others on that board and around the board of governors. And those people on the ownership group who put their hands in their own pockets and funded this with FC Edmonton and kept it going. We've got a very different situation in York in that we're in the GTA. It is the hotbed of soccer within Canada. You look at the success and the numerous stories around the Brampton microclimate and what that does to produce players for the men's national team. You look at the percentage of players in the men's and women's national teams that come from Ontario and the GTA, and within like an hour outside the GTA. It's massive. It is the cradle of soccer in Canada. And so ourselves and others within the GTA and other potential opportunities will continue to exist. And I think that's where it's a very different situation. And again, I would point to your co-host in terms of, and ask him, look around that changing room, look around that locker room at the 23 guys we've got assembled and the coaching staff. I think they all believe in this as the project and the roster that we have, that it's not about being FC opportunity and this being like anything other than a squad that we want, we desire, and we expect to go out there and competing every single week and not feeling sorry for ourselves about this, that, or the other. It's going out there to win. And we know that that's expected of us as a front office, as a coaching staff, as a playing group.
Absolutely. And you talk about that roster and going out to try to win. How important do you think on-field success is going to be in terms of the future purchase, do you think that's going to play a factor into how many people are actually looking to potentially become owners?
Yes and no, in terms of, because we speak about all the conditions that we need for success.
Yeah.
But like, look, the reality of it is sport. People like winning teams. We're in a tough market. Like, how do you cut through in the GTA? Look at Toronto FC. People got a lot more excited when they started winning.
True.
And like, you can't hide for it. You can't be shy on it. You can say that I'm the obnoxious Scotsman stroke bloke that sticks his head from over the other side of the wall in New York, but like, and it's not very Canadian, but like, winning's all right. Winning's good. Wanting to win's good. And like, sometimes you don't have to be humble and sit back and say like, oh no, well, we're just all excited to be here and be part of this. No, stuff that. We want to win each week. In terms of like, it makes everything much better the day after. And like, so yeah, winning will help, but it's by no means a critical factor in the future success of the club or anything else like that. But I think it's going to bring more bums on seats. I look at our record as a franchise, and I have to stick my hand up as GM of that franchise for 4 of what will be 5 seasons. We've never won 3 games in a row. Like, it's never happened for us as a franchise. We've gone unbeaten for like 7 of 8 games or 6 or 7 games at the Island Games and things like that. But it didn't count in terms of, so we need to put together runs of wins, not for the success of the franchise, but we've got bloody pro players and staff, and that's what we want to do, is win. Like, it's we're not an organization that's going to be content getting participation medals. We want to go out and win.
Absolutely. And in conversation again with Angus McNab from York United, one of the biggest questions surrounding this team is the attendance record. Obviously, getting people at the games has been a struggle in the GTA, and that's something that I'm sure you could talk to many OHL squads who have vacated the area as well in the hockey side. Is there a plan to maybe get more fans in the seats or try to get more fans in the seats through maybe a marketing idea, or is this kind of being put on hold until there is new owners?
No, I mean, we're always striving to go do more and keep pushing. I think, look, one of the things in year 1 versus where we are now, I have very honestly some serious questions about the announced attendance in year 1. And I raised those concerns when I came in. It's something that we've looked at. So now when we announce attendance, we're very, very to the point on it. There's no sugarcoating of things. It's where we are. And we've also had a big shift in that, look, there isn't as many complimentary tickets given away. It's paid seats that we look at as a franchise now and have a real focus on, because that devalues the product and ultimately doesn't lead to long-term sustained success. So it's about making sure that the people in your venue are paying customers, and those that you do give the opportunity to sample and trial are going to come back. So it's a very easy sort of this, that, the other, but we put a real focus on it, and we really try and drive paid attendance and put a real focus on that. Because the rest of it, while you might have some people in and they might buy a beer, they might spend sort of a small bit on merch. Look, we want to build sustained success, and that's season seat members and growing the season seat base, and then bringing friends along as guests and things like that, with vouchers that they exist, with ticket exchange and other mechanisms that sit there. When they miss a game, they can reuse it and bring someone else along and do these things. So look, it's the GTA. Outdoor advertising is very expensive.
Yep.
You yourself, you cover the Leafs as well. It's hard to get column inches in the press right now. It's hard to even buy outdoor media right now because others are all over it and things that sit there. So you have to do it, and you have to look at how are we going to spend well, how are we going to spend efficiently, and ultimately, how are you going to do this so that there is some form of strategic investment and return on investment long term. There's no silver bullet to that. I think what we do with our content and communications team is really important in doing that organically. And our reach and our growth of our social accounts and things there all show that that's a positive. But the other challenge is that it's still COVID. People's ticket buying habits have changed dramatically. And everyone in sport is still getting used to that and looking at the marketing mix that exists there as people move away from seasons. Are they even going to still consider flex packs, or are people just a little bit more cautious? And as we're seeing, as some of our colleagues around the league are seeing, we don't really see uplift until sort of -2, -3 like days from kickoff. Right. And then sort of ramping up on the way in. People are more cautious because they don't know what may happen, may be thrown at them in the interim. So there is less of an event-based planning piece. And it's also, we're just about over it, but there's still the reluctance for people to plan big group activities. Corporates don't necessarily want to assume risk on these things and put 60 people in a bus and do these kind of things anymore. So we're still all in a little bit of recovery mode. The entire entertainment and sort of hospitality sector is feeling that, but I think we're making good strides, and we've got people that are working hard. And I think when the new owners are in, we'll see a little bit of a change and an uplift in that as we look at the staffing and the other requirements that are needed to really, really enhance that there as well.
Yep. I want to go into your team that you have at York United, both on the field, off the field. And I want to start with your role since the sale. How has your role kind of changed, and moving forward, looking towards the future as the GM, has it changed how you can kind of plan for the future? Because obviously you're looking to extend players, you're looking to make the best roster possible. Has this sale affected your job in any way?
No, not really. In terms of the biggest change is that rather than speaking to Michael Baldazara or some of the other members of the family on a Monday morning, I'll have a catch up with Commissioner Noonan. But that's the biggest change in things, is there is chatting to him and his staff on where things are trending and things there. And that's a massive credit to the board and the commissioner, is that they understand the need for support where we ask for it and where we need it, like an owner should do. But they understand the need for us to operate as an independent club and to back the people that have been there and are doing the hard yards in that front office now. So that side of it, there's not a great deal of change. In terms of our roster and our squad planning and everything like that, again, that continues as normal. I think the very nature of the CPL and it being a younger league, we have less players on sort of long-term, multi-year contracts. So there is always a little bit of movement at the end of every season, and things happen there. It's also because our season starts relatively late next to transfer windows and things as well. A lot of the work that you would do planning your summer and your other windows, if I'm in a European club, I've got a bank of 15 to 20 games coming now from January into the summer window and everything else that's gone on before that. So I'm looking at a full season of data and then other historic data as I look at my roster planning and things like that. We're 4 games in the clubs.
Yeah.
And so your roster planning, your trends, even your opposition analysis is still quite light because we've got a new franchise. You've got pretty high player turnover at a lot of clubs in the league. You've got a new coach in Patrice up there in Halifax and a new squad assembled. So you probably, until you get definite looks on style, on player tendencies and things like that, as opposed to luck, as opposed to opportunity presented itself, you're not getting that till 10, 15 games. Right. But if you speak to proper data scientists and sports data modelers, they're wanting a minimum of half a season before they really draw those conclusions. So that side of it, we know the league well. We've got a staff that know the league well from coaching in it, playing in it, being around it now for multiple years. So we just continue as per usual.
And you know what? As a fan of the league, that's something that I wanted to hear. So thank you for reassuring me a little bit as well. In conversation with Angus McNab, CEO and GM of York United, I want to go a little bit big picture here before we let you go. First off, I want to talk about what kind of investment is needed to purchase a CPL club. I think a lot of fans are wondering how much money is put into these clubs. What are we looking at, maybe dollar amount wise, that an owner would need to come in with?
Yeah, I understand you're very interested, but that's something that we've never gone public with. And
Fair.
unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you now. So it was phrased really well, and it was really well crafted. It was very polite, but yeah, no dice on that one.
It was worth the shot. I had to give it a whirl. But okay, we'll still look big picture here. But as someone who has been around the league for so long and been part of York United as well, what can you tell to the CPL fans that proves that this league is here to stay in the long run? Not just York United specifically, but overall, the CPL is here to stay.
I think when you look at the quality and caliber of the people involved around the ownership table, and what they're looking at, you look at the fact that the guys at 6-5 Group have invested in a second team. You look at the fact that we've got Atletico Madrid willing to invest in this country and in a club here, and also really, really push all of us to sort of do more and engage with them in heading potentially to Spain in future years. How can they help us with hosting opportunities at Atletico games and things, and chat to other interested parties that are knocking on their door around Europe as well. So we have phenomenal partners, and we have a phenomenally committed group of people around the ownership table. And Commissioner Noonan and the board and all CSB, the ownership interest we have coast to coast and internationally is pretty significant. I think you then look at the progress that has already been made, and you look at the CPL's contribution to player development and guys starting to break into the Canadian men's national team. That's the clearest sign that it's here to stay, because it's needed. Because Dominic Zatori is getting an opportunity coming into a squad. Victor Laturi, the same. You've got the goalkeepers that Valor have had that have been on loan there, played and made it into national team squads and World Cup squads. So it's here to stay because it's needed. And it's here to stay because it's the world's game in a country that is, I would say, consistently top 3 in the world in most desirable places to live when you look at any survey. It's here to stay when you look at immigration patterns into the country and where these people are coming from. Like, if you've got 500,000 new Canadians every year and soccer's their principal sport, it's only a decade and there's 5 million more people that host soccer as their principal sport. Yep. Like, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And for those reasons, it's going nowhere. Where it needs help is that the sport needs to be more accessible to people that are moving here and don't necessarily have bucket loads of disposable income. How do you do that? I'm back on my soapbox again about facilities and access. Because it's cold. Like, yep. It's a bloody cold place to be. So you need good quality facilities. You need good quality places for people to play, develop, enjoy sport, be active, be healthy. And I think that, like, look, you saw it during COVID and the crisis we had. Like, sport's important, and people need to see the importance that facilities have in that. And I completely get it in terms of, like, the economic situation is very different with government compared to the US in what is given to stadia, what is given to all of these things. But actually, with what we're trying to do in the CPL and build this in communities and build it ground up, that can be a phenomenal asset. You look at what Derek Martin's created up in Halifax. That town is captivated by a team. That team and the Wanderers up there have deep meaning, have a massive place within that community. And it's become like their Saturday afternoon, their Sunday afternoon. We've played there on bank holiday Mondays. Like, that's people's church. That's their tribe up there. And that's phenomenal. And we need more of that. And I love this phrase that the commissioners use. We need cathedrals to the game all around the country. And we need people to keep coming back to them and building this thing. And that's where it's going to go. It's like, genuinely, that is where it's going to go in this country, with investment and with people that are coming to continually raise the bar. And that's just going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely. I got one more question for you before I let you go, Angus. I swear this is it. But for York United fans listening to this who are concerned about everything that's going on, what is your message to them?
Look, if there was someone that should be concerned, genuinely, it should be me. I can't kick a ball straight, so I can't add anything on the field. And like, genuinely, I know where we've been in terms of when you look at some of the things off the field and things there. We are looking to build something here. I'm very, very fortunate that I get to call people around that boardroom table over the last number of years friends and partners in building something. And they are very, very committed to helping us take this on and making sure this club lives up to its potential. With the current pipeline of people interested, and how hard people in the commissioner's office are working on this, I'm incredibly hopeful for not just the future of York United in the next 1-2 years, but the future of the Canadian Premier League and the future of soccer in Canada over the next 2, 3, 4 decades. And I feel really privileged, and I look forward to being an even more miserable old man that looks back on this and looks back with great pride that was part of it in some very early days. And look, it's something that isn't the norm. But when you look, and the commissioner's spoken about this and his MLS experiences, there was some pain in their early days as well. And it's not the kind of pain we're speaking about here. It was much worse. And look, we're just going to build it and keep doing what we're doing. And yeah, it's great when you look at this club, how people react. The boys in Ottawa last week, that win and what that means to people around the club, what that means to our fan base. That shows me that this is going to work, and that shows me that people are passionate, committed, and that's ultimately what we need to keep growing it and driving it, is build this community. And we look at it ourselves, our mission, vision, and values as a club. Like, we want to make memories, and we're going to continue to do that. So yeah, delighted to be a part of it, and really, really excited for what the future holds, and excited for this squad once we're able to get a couple more bodies back fit and back together. Really, really excited for this squad and what we can do, because they work hard. They're well coached. They work hard, and they'll just continue to do so and put it in for everyone, including themselves, and really, really continue to do what this league does: develop, give a platform, give opportunity for guys to move on to the next step. But hopefully they're doing that with us now in a winning team.
I don't think we could have ended this any better. Thank you so much, Angus, for joining us. I know you got a busy time. Team's about to play Forge this weekend. You got Whitecaps next week. It's a busy time for you. So thank you for taking some time to talk to us.
No worries at all. And genuinely, come out, come experience it. Come out to the stadium, be it Friday against Forge or next Wednesday night against the Whitecaps. There's some minor league hockey game going on downtown, but get on up to York Lions Stadium. I think you'll enjoy that. In fact, it might not be in downtown next Wednesday. It might be down in Florida. So you've got no excuse. Get on the TTC and get up to York Lions Stadium.
There you go, folks. You heard it from the CEO himself. Angus, once again, thank you so much. We are going to end this right here. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.